welcome back to my channel. This is Bella's Forex. So guys, I've not actually had some time to actually analyze any pair on this chart for you guys for the longest. So we are in today to analyze Euro USD. So guys, a very quick one on the Euro USD. This is our weekly time frame, by the way. So we can see the price is actually on a buying move, right? You can see the price is actually on a buying move. Okay, so I want us to really look at something here, guys. I want us to look at the fact that price got to this point, rejected, got to here, rejected, and got to here and rejected as well. Okay, so this very rejection of price gave us this doji kind of candle. This is an indication, a very strong indication that price is actually, buyers actually rejecting that zone. They did it for the first time when they got to this point. They got to this point instead of a break of structure, which wasn't visible on the weekly time frame because we are actually on the weekly time frame, but it's visible on the daily time frame. This break of structure is visible on the daily time frame, but on the weekly time frame, it's also a rejection, and it got to this point, giving us this rejection also. So, guys, I've told us that the candles on the weekly time frame and the candles of on the daily time frame, that those on the weekly are much more significant, right? The daily is also significant, but the higher time frame gives you a much more clearer picture of what price is doing by the, if you can actually be able to know your candlesticks, right? So the weekly time frame at the end of the day, bottom line is the weekly time frame is stronger than the daily time frame. What I'm trying to say, guys, is that the weekly time frame is stronger than the daily time frame. So any candlestick, if you can be able to understand what it means, if you can be able to read your candlesticks, you can be able to know what price is actually saying by the candlesticks. Okay, so this is actually the daily time frame, sorry, the weekly time frame. Okay, so as we're going to the daily time frame, don't also forget this rejection candle of price that I already talked about. Okay, so let's go over to our daily time frame, guys. So this is the daily time frame. Remember I told you that this break of structure, all these break of structures, they were all visible on the daily time frame. This was the break of structure visible on the daily time frame. Break of structure also visible on the daily time frame. Okay, so we also have this other break of structure which is also visible on this daily time frame. Okay, so with that being said, guys, from that our weekly time frame, even actually also from this daily time frame, we see when price, as an SMC trader, we see when price comes to take out liquidity, just like it did here. When price comes to take out liquidity, right? It took out liquidity, it broke structure. Then here becomes the choke, right? So it did that, okay? And finally, once when price also returned, this was liquidity right here. Price returned, grab liquidity, and price pushed upward to break structure. Remember, guys, this is a rejection on the weekly time frame. Don't forget that. So once price broke structure after grabbing liquidity, now we have a choke. We have a choke around here. Okay. So currently now price has taken out our choke. Remember, this is a weekly rejection. And this move of sellers down is telling us that buyers are weak. Buyers are tired of going to the upside. Now sellers have taken over. Okay. So that's Change of character. If we go back to our weekly time frame, the change of character is also visible on the weekly time frame. Okay, as you can see, there is a change of character right about here. Okay, on the weekly time frame. That was last week's candle, and this week's candle opened. Okay, this is the current candle right now. So that week's candle was the candle that changed character. So this is the weekly time frame, which indicates that sellers are strong even on the weekly time frame. So on the daily time frame, it's also visible that we had a change of character as well. So guys, I want to just show us where we can anticipate for a sale since sellers are not currently in the market. Okay, so if I go to my 4 hour time frame, so the 4 hour time frame is what I'm using to analyze this chart, and this is the only time frame I want to use to enter this trade, aside me going to my 15 minutes for confirmations. Okay, because the 4 hour time frame has already told us what's happening right here. So guys, you can see that from that rejection of the weekly time frame all the way up, right, coming back down, price pulled back, broke structure. This is liquidity right here. Price went up to grab liquidity. Price went up, grab liquidity, and broke structure again before now taking this chalk out, before establishing that chalk. Okay, remember this blue line is our chalk. This blue line is where our chalk is. Okay, this blue line is where our chalk is, right? So this is liquidity seated. The price went up, took out liquidity, broke structure, and also took out the chalk. So sellers are now in this market. What we're looking out for, guys, is we are looking at to sell. So on our daily time frame, we can see that I've marked out my the daily time frame. I've marked out my POI for selling. Okay, so this is my POI. This is my POI right about here. Okay, this is my POI. So on the 4 hour time frame, guys, which is where I'm looking at price from, giving me give me a good opportunity to sell. So with all this representation of the candlesticks on this chart, we are looking to buy, we are looking to for price to buy to this point of our POI. Then we can go to the 15 minutes, have a confirmation, then sell back down. Okay. So remember when price is in a direction, once it breaks short, so it keeps going to that direction. So we're expecting price to we're expecting price to do this, guys. We're expecting price to go to this POI. After the confirmation to sell, we sell back down to break structure again. Okay, so that's actually basically what I'm looking at for price to come into this my POI zone for me to sell. And anything that makes price, remember guys, we also have a chalk, a buy chalk at this point. This our yellow line, 1.16674. That's a chalk zone to buy. So anything that makes price go above this yellow line, it means that our setup has been invalidated. Remember, the market does not guarantee you anything. So market is actually a game of probabilities. So if it takes out that high, which is the chalk, so we can actually wait for a pullback to buy. But our setup now is telling us to sell. So we don't want to see price do that. All we want to see is for price to get to our POI while we sell to break structure to the downside. So guys, I hope you got something from this video. So also be dropping other I'll be dropping other analysis on gold and BTC. as I actually used to do. Okay, so guys, I'll also drop an analysis on GBP as well. So do well to comment anything you want me to answer, like any question you want me to answer. Do well to comment, and also any pair you want me to analyze, guys. You can do it to comment also, and I'll actually analyze that for you. Have a nice day.